What is up, everybody? Drew Kerr here with CG Ruthless on another Tuesday night show. We're going to do a quick beer review for y'all. We already see some people in the chat there. So as always, we're going to start off with CG. You can go ahead and let us know what you're sipping on, and then I'll review mine.
Yeah, for sure. This is a classic Blue Moon, man, orange peel beer. So taste review of this. Oh, wow. I love this beer. I really do. It's a good citrus beer. It's a peel. It has the peel orange flavor. Yes.
You have the orange with it today? No orange?
Yeah. Yeah, orange peel. Yep.
Oh, I mean like the actual orange. Like sometimes.
Oh, no.
Orange in it. Yeah, and then just as a reminder, guys, this show, we do drink alcoholic beverages, so 18 and up for our viewership. So we'd appreciate it if there are any under 18 people to, kindly step out. So I am sipping on something called an IPA called Two Hearted IPA. It's got like steelhead, kind of a fish beer on there, or a fish picture. I've had this before. It's a little bit thicker. It's not very carbonated. So it's a very smooth beer, but if you want just a little bit of extra alcohol, it's 7%. It's not quite like 9% or 10% ones that we've been drinking. So and so we can just get into the Niners stuff. And the first thing we're going to start out with is obviously this, because I think it's a big deal. And so you can just kind of give your thoughts on the impact of not having Trent Williams right now.
Well, it is a big deal, because who else are capable starting offensive linemen? It's pretty much our weakest link. I feel like this front office didn't do enough to address it. I mean, outside of Dominic Puny, which I think he might be a bright spot, like Trent Williams is like our heart and soul of that offensive line, because I think he gives Brock Purdy enough time. Maybe that's what we're looking at so far in training camp, is because you see the offense was kind of stepping up early, but it didn't show up at the end. So I think he wants his guaranteed money. That's the only problem I see.
Well, having arguably the greatest offensive lineman of all time protecting your blind side's got to build some confidence. And so I think a lot of these early interceptions that we're seeing with Brock Purdy could be stemming from the fact that he knows he doesn't have Trent Williams on his blind side. He's also, as you mentioned, he's the captain of the offensive line. He's the leader of the offensive line. Normally the center's kind of doing the checks and the play calls, but Trent Williams is the guy that just locks down. That's why he's getting paid the big money. But with that said, I think that this will go similarly to how it did with Christian McCaffrey, because it's kind of a similar thing. He's just asking for more guaranteed money, and that actually helps the 49ers cap situation. So I don't expect that this even lasts until the very first preseason game. I think before the Titans preseason game, Trent Williams is going to be in there. I don't think that the starter is going to play against the Titans, but I think that it's pretty important to get him in. And I actually put a poll up on my channel today asking who's more important to get in between Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk, and I have to say that I feel personally that it's Trent Williams.
Yeah, because you got to have a good offensive line to protect your asset or something like that. So I feel like that's the one most important thing we didn't. I think we addressed a lot of everything, but it just wasn't quite deep at offensive line. So, cheers. Oh, yeah, Bebop Jones. Oh, Tulare County, salute to the Central Valley, man.
Like Jim Everett said, hit the likes, por favor.
I think that's the actual Jim Everett, not the troll one. Yeah, I got Last Coast Fog Cutter. Oh, I've never tried that one. Okay.
Awesome. Glad to have everybody in today. Appreciate you guys being here. I don't really have anything more on the Trent Williams situation. I think that he's going to get extended sooner than later. But one thing that I was kind of thinking about, and I mentioned this in my video yesterday, is he wanting this guaranteed money because he's going to check out if he gets the hardware? Like if the Niners win the Super Bowl this year, is he going to then say, I've got my money, I'm out? Like, is he just going to one more heist to try to get some money in his bank account and then check out? I mean, he's already on contracts alone made $170 million.
Yeah, but I think he wants to play for a little longer, because I looked at a lot what he said. He even said that he doesn't see himself retiring at this point right now. He thinks he can play a couple more years, if not longer. So if that's the case, man, that's crazy. But most of these guys at this age, they tend to break down. but not
But
Trent.
he's also, yeah, he's an athletic freak. Like he's different. He's built different. I didn't really see too much slowing down from him last year. So yeah, I think that's gonna. I think they'll get him in. I don't think there's gonna be any problem. But we already kind of see it rearing its ugly head now. So the Niners kind of need to get on it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot going on with. Okay, so Brandon Ayuk's holding in. I think from what he's doing, he knows he's going to get a fine if he doesn't show up. So I think I'm hoping this is leading towards the right direction where they get a deal done. But it's been frustrating because now that you see CeeDee Lamb got a $34 million, I'm imagining Ayuk's going to want something similar, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe he'll get it, maybe he won't. But I think for the biggest thing is he's not developing chemistry with Brock Purdy right now. He is in the team meetings. He's doing everything else. He's in the weight rooms. He's doing all of those things. He's just not participating in practice. So I think you mentioned Mark Schlereth saying some things about the situation. Did you want to comment on that?
Oh, yeah. Mark Schlereth can speak for a teammate perspective. He even said it best. If you're he says at least have the nuts to show up in practice. If not, don't even show up. Or something like that. And he says, why even come in and you're not even doing the work? That's where I kind of agree with him.
Right. He's either like sit out and lose the money or basically show up and be there with your teammates.
And do the work.
Technically he is. And we're kind of he's from the old school of football where guys either did hold out or that. And these newer guys are not from that. They're not from that. They're getting advice from their agents. They're just listening to their agents. So, and also they have family members to consider. So that $40,000 a day on a rookie deal, I mean, that's going to add up. If he starts missing games, that's going to add up. I mean, this is going to take a huge chunk out of this $14 million salary. So while it seems like peanuts in the grand scheme of being a millionaire, like $40,000 is a lot to anybody, not just us. Like it's a lot to millionaires too. That's a big chunk of money. So I don't expect it to last too much longer. Again, my prediction date was August 15th. I think that's the magical date it gets done by. I forget the Carthen, I think that has the morning show on TV. He said that he expected it to be done within a week, and that was 3 days ago. So we might even see it sooner than that.
Hopefully, man. I hope so, because we're going to need him, and we're going to need him to get the chemistry in. But I just feel like him not going out there and practicing with his teammates is going to really hurt us. So,
yeah, and actually, he's now just giving Counting should be back in about a week and a half. And, Pearsall had himself a good day. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think he could hurt himself a lot if some of these other guys start shining a little bit. Then it's kind of like crunch time. Like you got to get in there and start playing, because you're not only jeopardizing your money by allowing these other guys to come in and potentially take your job, but you're hurting the team. You're hurting everybody at that point by not practicing, by not getting the reps.
Yeah, and I think the Niners are just doing this weird strategy. They're thinking, well, we got this kid from Florida, Ricky Pearsall, so we feel comfortable. If Ayuk's not out there, I feel comfortable with this kid more than anything else.
Got a couple more peeps in here. Appreciate you guys being here. Happy Tuesday. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
And so, I don't really have anything more on the Brandon Ayuk. I just think that it's important that he gets in sooner than later. I think that the Niners front office, maybe they can get a twofer. Maybe they can sign Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk the same day. I don't know. That'd be great.
Hopefully it gets done. But it's very frustrating as fans for us to wait this long. But yeah.
Yeah. So next here, CMC and Bosa had the day off. I think yesterday they were back in camp today. Both of them participating with the ones. And, I didn't hear too much about them getting any pressures. I think I heard something about CMC getting like a 5-yard run or something like that. I don't think that I think they're being used sparingly. So, but almost everybody participated, obviously, with the exception of Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams, which is why we started out with them. But almost everybody participated today. Some of the bright spots, I'm not sure how much you've seen today. Some of the bright spots were like Cody Schrader, I guess, had a really good day. Lenore had a great day. I think that Yiadom, it sounded like he had a pretty decent day. He got beat, I think, once or twice by Debo Deep, so that'll be something to watch there. I didn't hear too much more about Green or Jennings, so I don't know about that, but it was good that everybody kind of participated today. Yeah, Grandizer's in here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just keeps on. Well, let's look at it this way. Like when you look at the team from a perspective, like from who stands out, like I think that getting the veterans out there for practice and communication, you want to get that going in. And Ricky Pearsall, from a rookie's perspective, he might be better than expected.
Yeah, and that's a good segue because he's next on the agenda here. I saw a tweet today this afternoon by one of the content creators out there said Ricky Pearsall had an amazing catch. Brandon Allen kind of had a little bit of an errant throw, and Ricky Pearsall adjusted to the throw. So that was pretty good to see there. And it sounds like he's, kind of working himself in. He stayed after practice yesterday. He was kind of running at half speed. He had Samuel Womack working with him, kind of jamming him, at the line and kind of holding him, trying to help him get off that man coverage. So, Womack's a vet. He's been in the league for a few years now. So he was out there helping Ricky, which I thought that was great to see two teammates of opposite sides of the ball trying to help each other after practice. Only gonna help. Iron sharpens iron. So it's good to see Pearsall, going against some of these guys. I don't know. I didn't hear who was on the coverage. I would have liked to have heard who was on the coverage for that catch.
I mean, there's a lot of factors, I guess, but they keep talking about how Pearsall runs those nice routes and stuff. That's all I've been hearing about.
Yeah, I think the stigma has been that he can't. He has a tough time getting off man press coverage, which is also a problem for Debo. So I think that's probably how teams are going to scheme us up. So that was kind of cool to see him working on that, knowing that that's kind of a weakness of his, maybe potentially, and trying to iron that out in preseason, the offseason. That's like a veteran mentality. That's not like a rookie mentality. And he's a little bit older. He's a little bit older for a rookie. I think he's 24, same age as 30 already. So, he kind of has a veteran, like an older player mindset, even though he played five years in college. So.
Yeah, 5 years in college, but I think that's the problem right there. But I think everybody keeps talking about his route running a lot. So that's something to be optimistic about. Like, previous years we've had some wide receiver depth issues, like other guys who can step in. But now that I feel like this is pretty deep this year. So I think we got enough receiver talent that they're more than capable to step in. So even for a guy like Ricky Pearsall, even if Ayuk is going to miss some time because of a contract, maybe Pearsall might deliver. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Jennings is also balling out a little bit. So I think that even if BA sits out week 1, like that also could be damaging. What if Pearsall goes for like 7 catches for like 90 some odd yards? Like, right? Like it's probably not going to happen, but like obviously we have CMC and some other guys, but if Saleh is trying to sell out knowing that the Niners are going to run the ball, we're going to have to pass it week 1. Maybe that's what BA is banking on, actually, is thinking ahead to week 1 going, well, they'll probably lose without me. Maybe. I mean, but we still have Kittle. We do have Pearsall now. Cowing might be in the mix. Jennings is going to be there, right? Like, and Debo. So a lot of weapons, even without BA. So,
I mean, I've seen that Jennings can be more than just a blocking receiver or this kind of guy. I think he's proven to be a really reliable receiver. Like everybody keeps saying third and Jennings. Like maybe if injuries were to happen, which I hope it doesn't happen, you can count on Jennings. Like you saw in the playoffs when Debo was out, who stepped in and did pretty well? Jennings.
Yeah, exactly. And probably the Super Bowl MVP, right? If we would have won, I mean, there's probably some talks that Jennings would have got the MVP. I mean, made that touchdown pass, made the touchdown reception. I mean, he was the guy kind of willing us to try to win. So I think there was a case for that at least. Purdy quarterbacks always usually get it. So if Purdy, like if that Chris Jones missed block type of play didn't happen, then there's a chance, right, that that BA gets hit in the back of the end zone and the game goes completely different, right?
Yeah. But I feel like that's the main key. I think these receivers are going to be really capable in stepping up. Like you look at Jacob Cowan, he's looking really good. I've heard mixed reviews that even Cowan might even be more standing out than Danny Gray. But then Danny Gray's actually having a best training camp so far.
Well, yeah, and that's another problem for Ayuk because I think that Danny Gray actually, when he's healthy, that was one of the good things as a third-round pick coming out of SMU is he was a good route runner as well. So, and he has probably more speed than Ayuk. So that's a guy that could take the top off of defense if he's fully healed. And maybe Ronnie Bell doesn't make it if Danny Gray can stay healthy this offseason. Maybe Danny Gray's the sixth receiver or the fifth receiver, right?
Yeah. Then you got Ronnie Bell, who's another good problem too. So it's going to be a pretty interesting. I think the sixth receiver is going to be the most interesting one because whoever makes that roster spot as the sixth receiver, there is a huge role for them. So I think
you're saying Ayuk, Jennings, Debo, Big Three, and then Cowing, Pearsall.
That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Those five receivers are a lock, but I think the sixth receiver is pretty much going to be the most interesting. You got Conley, you got you got Danny Gray and Ronnie Bell. Those guys are definitely competing for that roster spot.
Trent Taylor's balling out too, apparently.
Yeah, Trent Taylor. You got Trent Taylor, and then you got Malik Turner and quite a few other dudes. But I think from this point going forward, I think it's going to be the good problem to have because one of them's going to get cut and be on our practice squad, and one of them's going to be the sixth receiver. So it's one or the other.
And another one that's probably a candidate to make the practice squad more than anything, but I guess he had a pretty good day today too, is Tariq Owens. You know, obviously going to be a fan favorite. So I guess he had a pretty good day also today, finally.
Yeah, but I think that sixth spot is pretty much up for grabs with the rest of that receiver spot because I already got the idea who's a lock. They wouldn't draft these guys if they didn't feel that high about them. So we all know, like the way you just said, the first three are pretty obvious. The other two, it seems like a lock to me because you draft these two guys.
Yeah, we haven't seen or heard much of Cowing though, and I almost wonder if they're like trying to play this injury thing up so that they can maybe redshirt him this year. Maybe and stash him on injury reserve. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. They do that sometimes with players. They kind of do like a red shirt thing where they put them on injury reserve if they got any kind of tweak. They did that with Latu. That's another one that I didn't even put on the list. That one-handed catch. I think I sent it to you or you sent it to me. But that one-handed catch in the back of the end zone that Latu made was pretty impressive yesterday.
Yeah, I seen the highlight where he actually made the one-handed catch. But the knock on him is he's not quite a good blocker. I've seen reports that he couldn't block good.
I just wonder if we can keep him on the practice squad and let him develop that. Maybe. I don't know. I don't see any other teams putting him on their 53 and stealing him from us.
Their part would see him more of a third tight end or maybe that backup dude. Like, I'm telling you, you cut this guy. Why would you want to move on from a guy you got in the third round? It was a pointless pick, but I feel like this may be a shocker, but the more I see Braden Willis get his opportunities, I think he's going to be the guy, but it wouldn't surprise me if Logan Thomas actually makes a quick stride, but Eric Solbert and quite a few other guys, whatever they are, I don't know.
I think they view Solbert as kind of like the Charlie Warner guy because he can block a little bit better. But look, how realistic is a tight end 2 in this offense anyway? I don't think that we're going to see a whole lot of tight end 2 this season. I think we will see it, but I don't think we're going to see it a whole lot. You know, I'm not paying attention to any of these comments. I know we got a lot of comments coming in.
I like to give a shout out to Niners fanatic John Jay and David McNiner. Definitely go check those guys out. But yeah, a lot of good topics are out here, especially Tariq Owens. Like we were just talking about Terrell Owens' son. Yeah, he may stand out right now, but can he make the roster? I don't know. It's going to be a pretty uphill battle. David McNiner does have a solid point. Gray does have experience, but the problem is, do the coaching staff trust this guy? Because last year he was injured.
On multiple levels, right? Like on multiple levels, it's like, can you stay healthy? Can you finish? Can you finish? Can you yards after catch? A lot of questions that haven't been answered yet with him.
Yeah, the question with Danny Gray is, do the coaching staff even trust him? Even when he was coming off an injury, they still went with Chris Conley off the practice squad and Willie Steen and quite a few other guys. So is this the year they're going to give this kid a chance? Because I think this is it for him.
Yeah, this is a make or break year for him for sure. He's either
Yeah.
going to get cut. I don't even think they would try to put him on the practice squad at this point. He'd probably go to somewhere like Seattle or LA or something like that. Maybe even over with Harbaugh, the other LA team. But
Yeah.
I go back and forth with rooting for Danny Gray because he was such a high draft pick. He was a 3rd round pick, I believe, 3rd or 4th. And so, with that kind of expectation, his biggest problem, his biggest, hindrance has been his health. So I think there was a couple times like in preseason, I think against the Chiefs, right, where he like had that bomb from Trey Lance. If I'm remembering correctly, it was like a touchdown.
He got that touchdown. Yeah.
Lance threw the bomb to him. But yeah, I think that, it's definitely a make or break year for him. And Ronnie Bell has had that, 6 wide receiver spot. So this is going to be fun to watch how all of that plays out. There's a lot of receivers. I think there's 11 total receivers, and there's 5 guys going for that 6th spot, and then probably 2 practice squad wide receivers, which is what they had last year.
Yeah. I feel like the production, like you look at how Danny Gray, bro, like what he did at SMU, you would think this would translate pretty well. But I feel like the 6th receiver is going to be the most important spot because he'll either be a contributor on special teams or he'll have a significant role on this offense down the stretch. But here's my hot take. Does Danny Gray make the roster? That's going to be a really tough one because I don't think they don't trust him enough, dude. I don't think they trust him enough. Even when he was coming off an injury, bro, like why would you go with Chris Conley and Willie Snead out of all people? Yeah, maybe they're veterans, but dude, you invested in a guy in the 3rd round. You need to give this kid a chance. I just think he's in the doghouse, and this may come down as a competition between Chris Conley and Ronnie Bell, which they trusted more than Danny Gray. So I think it's going to come down to those guys for that last spot.
Well, definitely Connolly, right? Like Connolly came up big in the Super Bowl with that 3rd down catch on the sideline. So I think that Connolly might be the front runner, but they also trust Trent Taylor because Trent Taylor, he used to be 3rd and Juwan before 3rd and Juwan. He's clutch on 3rd downs, right? Or used to be. He went to the Bears and the Bengals and he didn't get a whole lot of playing time.
Yeah,
but they liked Trent. Kyle said this yesterday. He was like, "We love having Trent back."
Yeah, but having Trent back, can he go back to the rookie form? I don't think he's the same guy. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I just think it's going to come down to these 3 guys.
Yeah, he's not, and he's coming off injury. So, but can you stash him on the practice squad? Maybe he has a spot there, a veteran spot on the practice squad, similar to Conley. Like if Conley does get that 6, and then that way you can insulate yourself with if anybody else gets injured, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. So today in camp, the defense has been dominating these last couple days of pads, but today the offense showed up and they were on fire. Purdy was cooking. There was a lot of, every 5 minutes there was a tweet going up or whatever you want to call it now, an X or a tweet was going up about, the offense kind of just, running over the defense. And then it wasn't until the end of practice that defense kind of stepped up and started picking off Purdy again. And I think he's up to, I don't keep training camp stats, but a lot of other guys do, and we know who they are, especially the ones that like to paint doom and gloom and the sky is falling and oh my God.
Yeah, he's going to be the next great talent.
Yeah. So anyway, 7 picks in training camp so far, something like that. And I'm not in the least worried about it. Now, if it's like week 4 and he's got like 7 or 8 picks, yeah, I'm going to start worrying.
And we have a slow start, yeah, I will be worried, yes, but
not right now. Not day 3 of pads. Like I'm not even concerned.
Yeah, I think this is all about building confidence because you want to build confidence going into the season. So of course you're going to have your slump moments. Like I think training camp stats is overrated to me because it doesn't really give you a telling of the story.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I like it for informational purposes, but I don't like it as, oh my God, Brock Purdy crapped the bed today. Like that's too dramatic. Like just give me the facts and I'll draw my own conclusions, as most fans will. You can't just you're out there trying to report. Don't be biased about it. Like just give us the facts. You don't need to give us your take. Like, oh, he looked like dog crap. Like it doesn't matter. It's training camp. Like if it's a game and he looks like dog crap, say he looks like dog crap, but it's practice. Like I What's the Iverson thing? We talking about practice?
Yeah, we're talking about practice, and so what? He had 4 picks in practice, bro. Does anybody have this amount of practice? Dude, I've seen Patrick Mahomes have like 5 picks in practice before, so it's not like the end of the world.
Everybody's touting Caleb Williams, and I'm pretty sure he had 7 picks in one day. Like within
dude, he's had 7 picks in practice at once, bro. So what are they talking about? Like, I think a lot of these quarterbacks have these days, bro, because let's be honest, if you have a good defense, you're going to have some picks in practice, of course.
Absolutely. 100%.
So I feel like it's
yeah. Purdy was INTs for him. Congrats.
If I'm just
going in the stat book, the training camp stat book.
No, but if I'm another fan, I don't really want to take my time on that energy, because then it would be foolish on their part, because, bro, does it count? No, it doesn't even count. Like, seriously.
Let's talk like, come back to the table week 8 or the bye week, and then we can have a conversation.
Then we can, if Brock Purdy is having one of those club seasons where we have a slow start and we're not getting nowhere, then we can talk about it, but I don't think it's something to be too worried about.
No, it's not. So that was kind of the thing there. And yesterday we talked about this, and this was kind of an intriguing matchup. And I think this is going to continue throughout camp. They were actually cool about it, but they were battling yesterday a little bit. And so you threw this was your topic that you texted me yesterday that you wanted to get in here.
Oh, yes. Talking about this type of matchup. What we saw during training camp, man, Jennings and Green, bro. I don't know. I got to say this, dude. What Jauan Jennings, Jauan Jennings isn't somebody to mess with, right? And trash talk it away. But Green, he didn't back down. What I really like about Ronaldo Green is confidence and talking shit. If you can back up your shit, I like that. Something about him just tells me that that's going to be the most important factor. Is it's going to come down to him and Isaac Gadicum for that starting role opposite of Travarius Ward. I just feel like this kid has confidence. And if you're going to hang with Jennings and hold your own, I think you've shown that you're more than capable to step in. Because there is going to be some receivers that he's going to play that are kind of like Jennings, but a little faster, probably a little more different. But you at least got a good taste of it. You even matched up with Deebo Samuel and quite a few other guys. So I feel like this kid has a lot that could be successful at the next level. I feel like Florida State DBs have confidence. They have something, that dog mentality, something you can't.
Old Deion Sanders.
Yeah, they got something like that, but they have that dog mentality. They've been coached to be tough, is what I'm saying.
Defense last year for Florida State was dog mentality. Like even our other Florida State guy, Bethune, was a dog. Like Fisk and Verse for the Rams were dogs. Like that whole defense was really good, really good. They didn't win a national championship or anything like that, but and even the year before that, they were on track till their quarterback got hurt. So, Florida State, I think they're up and coming a little bit.
Oh, yeah. They've actually had 2 good wide receivers in the draft, but I think one of them is like a project, but the other guy could be good for the Bills. But, yeah, there's a lot to like about Florida State. Like you had Braden Fisk, who's with the Rams, and they got that Verse kid. But they got 2 of the cornerbacks from Florida State. I think the one that the Jaguars drafted, he's kind of looked pretty solid too. But I think Ronaldo Green is probably the one guy that everybody's kind of praising about the most, because I think the most important, like here's 3 keys I like about cornerbacks. You got to be confident, and you got to erase the bad play and go on to the next play. That's one thing I value the most at cornerback. You got to trash talk. You got to trash talk your opponent.
No, go ahead and finish.
No, but you got to trash talk your opponent, get under his head a little bit so he can get frustrated. And then when you make a play, just rub it into your opponent's face so he can get upset about it. But yeah, that's trash talking. That's what I want. But I want the guy to be a dog that takes the dirty work. That's the kind of mindset I like.
Like Lenoir last year, like in the Philly game. He said he actually like, that's when he flipped a switch. He said in that Philly game, in his interview recently, he said he flipped a switch in that Philly game. That's when he had full confidence in himself. He knew he was a dog. He knew he was elite. Like he talked about all of that. And so that was kind of he said, coming out game. And I think the confusion there was like people thought he was talking about the championship game against them, but he was actually talking about last season. So, And then another theory that I heard today, and I don't know if that I hate this idea, but like, what if Lenoir plays cornerback opposite of Ward outside, and then we move Green inside. If Yiadom is just insurance, I mean, Yiadom's got a perfect, like a prototypical body. He's long, he's tall. He's the type of guy you want as an outside corner, but maybe Green can beat him out in the sense that he's just a better player. And then you put Green in the nickel. You can use him as blitzing and all that kind of stuff because he has his safety experience at Florida State.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
And then Lenore's good inside or out. Like, we know Lenore's good inside or out. And maybe those guys flip-flop. Maybe Yiadom comes in. Maybe even Mustafa gets worked in for some blitzes and some exotic blitzes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Tommy's in the house.
I feel like Lenore is good at the slot. You know, I think he does a really good job at the slot.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is a strength this year. I think this is the strongest secondary that Kyle Shanahan and that regime has had. What's up?
No, I think that's one of the strengths we got so far at cornerback, because if you look at last year, who was our other cornerback, bro? Oliver didn't step up. Ambry Thomas was an up and down guy, and we had to put him out there. So it's like, sheesh. But this year,
Ambry Thomas was like in their doghouse, and then Wilkes was like, come here, come under my wing, and like pulled him out of the doghouse and gave him some opportunities. And while he looked good at times, he just wasn't consistent. And I think that is what separates elite cornerbacks from average cornerbacks in the NFL is consistency.
Yeah, it's consistency, but I feel like the cornerback depth is very important. Like, last year we had some weak spots. This year it's pretty promising. I'm pretty sure when you look at the rest of those guys, I think the 5 guys we keep on our roster, I'm pretty sure they're starting caliber cornerbacks. Like Isaac Gadicum has shown last season with the Saints, he can be a starting caliber cornerback right now. Raquel said, when healthy, this guy can be a starting caliber cornerback. I've heard mixed reviews from the Colts and Raiders and Ravens. They like this guy, but we got him on a very cheap deal. You look at Lenore, he seems to be exactly what we want him to be.
Both Chase Lucas, by the way, and Rock Ya-Sin both had good days also today. So, I think that's definitely going to be something to watch there. It's a pretty intense battle at the corner position. And, how many do you think that they're going to keep? 5?
I think it's going to be about 5 cornerbacks. I don't see us keeping 6 because maybe based by versatility, they might keep a 6th guy, but I really think it's going to come down to 5 cornerbacks. So I'll give you the names, of course. Lenore, of course. Ward. Green's going to be a lock because he's a 2nd-round pick, of course. Yiadom is going to be a lock because I think there's no other better quality depth. I think Raquel Sid could easily make this roster as the 5th guy, but Chase Lucas can either make the roster as a special teamer. So I think that's my factor of who makes the roster right there.
Chase Lucas has special teams value. He also has backup, like nickel cornerback value. So if we get into a situation where we're kind of injury depleted, he can actually fill that nickel role and do it solidly enough, I think. Let's move on to the next topic. And this was kind of a topic today that I kind of noticed buzzing on Twitter a little bit. And so it was like Purdy versus Warner, kind of like the mentality of like Purdy going after Warner, Warner going after him, Warner chirping at the center. I think it was Ben Barch today. I don't think Brendel was in there at center. Dominic Pooney got the start at right guard. I guess he held up really well. Looks like an NFL player. I've been touting this guy. You know this. Like, I've been saying this guy has all pro potential. Might be my favorite draft pick, Dominic Pooney. I think he's going to be an excellent offensive lineman, and I'm excited about him. But yeah, Warner was kind of chirping at the center and like chirping at Purdy and everything like that. But Purdy was getting the better of him. And this is just going to be the dynamic of this entire camp when ones versus ones are on the field until we get to like the joint practices with the Saints and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't get too bought into the practice stuff, man. It's just not something that I buy into. But, it's always good to show out in practice and do what you can do. But it doesn't really mean nothing personally. Like, do we really get into the stocks of all these players? Maybe just to see how good they are. But I look at the film when it comes down to the preseason. Maybe the preseason, I get an idea who's going to be that capable backup who could step in as a starter. But like you look at how Purdy's having a little bit of a up and down type of training camp, right? But it's just practice, man. Like I don't really get into it like that. Like
yeah, I don't put like a lot of stock into practice stock or practice stats and things like that. But I do put a lot of stock into practice of itself because I think iron sharpens iron. So like if you have an elite defense going in against an elite offense, I think that matters because they're sharpening each other to play lesser than teams, right? Like if you play the Rams, I don't think they're going to have an elite defense this year because they got a lot of young players. So
dude.
like, you can destroy a team like that if you're going against a top 1-2 defense in practice every day. So I think there's some value to that with the practice and even throughout the season. These guys are not.
And let's not act like we have a top defense, bro. We have a top legitimate defense, so it's not like the end of the world. Like, okay, like you said, perfect example. Yeah, the Rams don't have a great defense. They have a young team. You could easily exploit that team because the way how we've been able to execute, we can easily destroy that Rams defense. But you look at other defense. Okay, look at Seattle's defense. We don't know what they're going to be. Arizona Cardinals, what kind of defense are they going to be, bro? We can control our own destiny. We just have to stay healthy. You look at the rest of the AFC. Okay, Kansas City's probably going to be our toughest challenge because they've had our number, but I think they've only been known to have a really good defense, solid defense-wise. But I think that's going to be our true test. We have to get over the hump on them at some point.
Yeah, well, and just to put this in perspective, I don't think Wilkes was a great defensive coordinator, but I don't think he was a bad defensive coordinator. But the Niners still finished. I actually kind of just not really a debate, but I kind of had a thing with Lombardi a little bit earlier where he has all these efficiency stats, and he was trying to say that the Niners were a top 10 defense, not a top 3 defense. And my argument was they're a top 3 defense because at least in the regular season they didn't look like that in the playoffs. So if he was using that for the playoffs, it has some weight, but it didn't because. At the end of the day, when you look at the scoreboard, that's what determines wins and losses. And the 49ers points against was 3rd in the NFL still, despite Wilkes, despite, some of the inefficiencies and things like that. And obviously the rush defense, and there were some holes. But at the end of the day, points is what wins you and loses you games. So if you're 3rd in points against, that's an elite defense. I'm sorry. Like, it's not a middle of the road defense. It's not an average defense. And that's not what we had, at least in the regular season. In the playoffs, it looked a little bit different, didn't it? I think
it's part because of the way we ran our defense. It was a little bit different with Steve Wilkes, but I feel like we're going to go back to the way we had it under DeMeco Ryans, if not close to a Robert Saleh type defense. I mean, when you bring in somebody who knows how to run your defense the right way, that's probably going to be a good recipe for better defense. And it's not like we missed a lot of talent, bro. We still have the same guys on that defense. So maybe a couple of guys have left, but we found some better quality players. So bringing in Leonard Floyd does kind of make it a better pass rush group. Getting Malik Collins gives you somebody who's very dependable more than Eric Armstead, personally. You get somebody like Jordan Elliott, who's probably one of the top 5 best against the run. Like, Cleveland's defense was really legit, bro. They were really legit. Maybe in the stat sheet you don't see Jordan Elliott's stats, but, bro, he was in the top 5 as a run-stop, D-tackle run defense guy. So maybe
you didn't mention him, but I think this was actually the best defensive signing potentially for the 49ers is Yetur Gross-Matos.
Oh, yes.
And he can stop the run. He's showing that he can rush the passer. He actually came here because he said that Chris Kasarik was legendary coach. And also Malik Collins echoed that sentiment. They both think that he's legendary. And Chris Kasarik is the reason that they came here because they wanted to elevate their games and they knew he was the guy to do it. So I think he's going to max these guys out and we're going to get the most out of every single free agent guy that we brought in. Now, with that said, I don't know how good the rush defense is going to be, especially missing Dre Greenlaw, that second level defense. So I love D Winters and I love the other linebackers, but none of them are going to bring what Dre brings. So until Dre's back, I don't know what that's going to look like. But Dre actually out of the walking boot, all that. So that's good news. And
it's a positive sign. He'll be back at week 5 at the latest.
Yeah, but with an Achilles injury as a linebacker, I don't think that he's going to be back to himself this season. Not fully, but I think his mind will be. But how much doubt is he going to have if he's like having a second guess cutting this way or cutting that guy that way or shooting a B gap to blow up a running back. Like, I don't know how much confidence he's going to have knowing that he has a potential to blow his Achilles again if he goes too hard.
Yeah, it's possible. One of those case scenarios. I mean, you don't want to come back too soon and then have to re-injure that thing. So you don't want to come down to that. So yeah, I see where you're coming from. But I feel like Hufanga's coming back within a week or two, so that's a positive sign because we're going to need him. I was hoping to see what Malik Mustafa can do because I see a lot of buzz about this kid. And I feel like this guy is built like DK Metcalf, bro, or if not like a professional wrestler. This guy,
he looks like Bo Jackson, the Bo Jackson of defense.
But dude, he looks like, Metcalf was he was having a hard time against our defense. He tried to match up as a bully, but he didn't he might have found his bully. What's Mustafa, bro? That dude can be a good boxing match for him.
Like, he's gonna hit like Ronnie. I hope he doesn't get penalties because I just feel like that guy's gonna hit somebody so hard that their like helmet's gonna pop off and their head's gonna explode into confetti. That's what it looks like. It looks like he's like a Terminator out there.
Yeah, I feel like our safety depth's pretty much good for the time being. I think when you look at the rest of the guys, you even talk about this guy from Vanderbilt. You were talking about how what's his name, Mahoney or something, Jalen Mahoney.
Yeah. Mahoney's a good candidate probably for the practice squad, I think.
But Taylor Hawkins, I like him. I think he can easily make the roster as the final safety, maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's between those two guys. But they had Odom was starting today. And then Hufanga is on his way back. He's going to be ready by the Saints joint practice, they said. So, we're going to have reinforcements at safety, I think. So I think that's also why they haven't kicked tires and like everybody's like, go get Justin Simmons and stuff like that. I think it's because they know like all pro Talanoa Hufanga is almost back. So they're just kind of biding their time. They're going to work him in slowly. But it sounds like he's going to be ready for week 1. I mean, the trajectory is that he'll be ready for week 1, Monday Night Football.
Yeah. Pretty much.
That'd be great. Because, I mean, how great would it be if like Talanoa Hufanga's back and like he picks off Aaron Rodgers, something he's doing the tees in the end zone. Like that would get everybody so pumped up. Like tees, then we're back. Like, right. We might not have Dre, but we got Talanoa back,
Yeah.
He wasn't looking good, blah, 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 before the injury. Bull crap. He was looking great. He had some lapses, but no player's perfect.
Nobody's perfect, but can you imagine? Can you imagine if one of our rookie starters actually has one of his best games against the Jets on a Monday Night Football, and he comes out with a confident mindset, and I guess one of the Jets' best receivers couldn't even get through him? That would be kind of cool if Ronaldo Green actually turned out to be good on that play.
I think Mooney Ward was like, "I'm going to pick off Aaron Rodgers, and then after the game, I'm going to ask him to sign it."
or Fred Warner would just say, or Leonard Floyd. I got a good one. Leonard Floyd could just come right there to Aaron Rodgers and say, "I almost got you."
I think if Leonard Floyd is coming hot off the edge and like gets around the corner, like Aaron Rodgers is going to sit down. Like he's just going to sit on the ground. He's going to be like, "Okay, you got me." Like, he doesn't want to tear his Achilles again.
Yeah, I heard Leonard Floyd's looked really good so far, so I think this might be what helps our defense get better.
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit with this defense. The one thing I worry about with Floyd is like overusing him, and Kyle has a tendency to do this. I'm not sure if Staley and Sorensen will do this, but like you can't overuse Leonard Floyd because you want him to be 100% for the playoffs. So you have to get a rotation in there. You got to get like guys like Beal Jr. in the mix. You got to get YGM in there. You got to get some more pass rushers, right? And I also think you got
to find a way to generate the pressure. And I think this year it's going to determine whether Drake Jackson can actually step up or not. And being injured during training camp is not going to help his cause now.
I think Drake Jackson's cooked. I don't even think he's gonna. I think he's gone personally. Injury settlement. Bye. Like he's not even playing any. Like I think he's on. Did he go on temporary IR again or so? He's out. He's not even playing. So,
no, they have him on the PUP where he'll just miss the entire training camp, but still you're gonna need him to step up.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm almost of the opinion, like once every team makes all their cuts, look at that waiver wire. Go find a guy that got cut that shouldn't get cut and put him on your 53 and give him a shot.
Yeah, one of those guys. Like maybe there's a guy that's still out there, Marcus Golden, for example. I've heard his name pop up sometime. He can be a proven veteran to have on your rotation.
Yeah, that's solid depth. So like I think that there's a lot of potentials out there. There's a lot of things that the Niners can do to strengthen their edge. Obviously, we know Bosa. By the way, Bosa got put as 27 on the top 100 today, which is
he's one of the best.
How is that guy like not top 10, top 15? That's crazy to me. That's nuts.
Well, he dropped because of last year's production. But if he goes back to the previous year, of course he'd be in the top 5, if not higher. But
I mean, he was getting double teamed and held all year. So, and he still produced. He still put pressures. Like, it's not all about sacks. And I think sometimes people get enamored with sacks. It's more about pressures too.
They look at that as an important stat sheet personally, which is true.
Well,
but
the top 100s voted on by the players. I don't know how deep the players get with stats and stuff. I don't think they look at pressures and like advanced stats and all that. I think they just kind of like go, that guy's awesome. That's who I'm penciling in. It's kind of a popularity contest, like the Pro Bowl a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of guys that likes them. Oh, I like this guy. This guy can play. Yes, he's great.
That's why it surprises me, because like in your mind, like name the top 3, even top 5 pass rushers in the NFL. You got Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, right? Like in my mind, those are the top 3. Michael Parsons sucks. I think he doesn't suck. He's top 5, but like he gets erased in the rush game by receivers. Like you're not elite if you can't stop the run also. And those 2 other guys, like Watt and Myles Garrett and Bosa all can stop the run too. It's not all about pass rushing.
One thing about Parsons is he's just the most overhyped player. Like, yeah, he's very talented. Don't get me wrong. But, dude, you can't even do well against good teams and you put yourself as a bulletin board. You look at another guy. Like, okay, Crosby's good, but I would even put him above Michael Parsons. That's just
CG. Is this true? Oh, hang on. Is this true? Wrong one.
Nope, I don't acknowledge a damn Rams, damn bro. And let me ask you a question. This is how we know you're a Raiders fan, bro. There is not a nation. It's not a nation. So how are you a Rams fan if you're going to call yourself a nation?
What is the Rams though? Like the Rams don't even have.
They call themselves the house, but there's no house, bro. It's the Niners house. It's at the what is it called? Levi South, bro. Come on, bro. Even for most Rams fans, you would not call yourself a nation, bro. That's a Raider mentality. just speaking, bro. Just speaking. Yeah.
Trey Lance Monday in here saying the Rams suck. And well, that's funny and it's humorous. It's probably not true. I don't think that the Rams are going to take the division. But but
I think it's going to be neck to neck. It's going to be neck to neck between those 2 teams. I think it's going to come down to who wants it more, but they're both playoff teams from the looks of it.
Yeah. The only difference I think here is going to be the defense. Like the Niners are going to have a lot better defense. And not to say that the Rams won't in like a year or 2 have a good defense. I think they will. I think the Rams, but they're so young. Like they got 2 defensive line rookies.
The defense is one of their weakest spots. Yeah, you can say their offense is good. They got a legitimate offense, but you got to look at the defense.
I like Kobe Turner as a player. He's a really good player. He almost got Defensive Rookie of the Year. The guy from the Texans got it instead, I think. But I'm not really
convinced with their secondary. I'm not really convinced with their cornerbacks outside of those other guys. I think they're very much their weakest spot. Like linebackers, you only have one good linebacker. That's about it. I mean, you look at your defensive line. I think Braden Fisk could be really good too, but who do they have? Like Jared Verse, we'll see. But I think this Rams defense is they're unproven right now. They're very unproven.
It takes a while for defensive linemen in the NFL to kind of like
build chemistry.
Unless you're like a complete blue chipper like Aaron Donald, and that's like a once in a 100 years type of player. They don't have that on their team. So like it's going to take a while. I don't think that the Rams are going to be bad in a couple of years. Like I'm not crapping on them like that.
Oh no, they're easily a wild card team. They're a wild card team just based by how good they are, but their defense is going to probably be their weakest part of their team.
For sure.
Like, okay, let's be honest. Okay, let's be honest about it. They did address the offensive line, so you should expect Stafford to have a little extra time on the pocket. You would hope so, right? But look at their defense. Look at their secondary. That can be one of their biggest weak spots. All the team has to do is stop the Rams a few different occasions and outscore their defense from there.
Yeah, and I think that the Rams mentality, or at least their fans, probably not their coaches and team, but I think their mentality is they're just going to drop 35 or 40 on everybody, right? Like, and that's just not reality. It's the NFL. It's not going to happen.
It's gonna be like it's gonna be like playing like a shootout game, personally. Because what if you have to play a team like us and it has to come down? You have to at least try to keep up with us. But if your defense doesn't hold up and we hold up your offense a couple occasions, you may be a little behind the bubble.
Right, exactly, and it becomes defense versus defense, and then the Niners, like, just by default, they have a better defense. So like.
Yeah, we may be a little old team. We may have some expensive talent roster, but come on. I looked at the most expensive roster. The Rams are ranked up there. They have $190 million worth of players on their roster, bro.
And Stafford's a statue, right? They better not hope that they better not hope that they have to rely on Jittery G, because we know how to destroy Jittery G.
But you look at the roster. If you look at the expensive team on the roster, the Browns and the Rams are right up there, bro. We're not even in the list. We're like in the bottom 10 or something, bro. When it comes to players on the roster, we have the most to pay, bro.
Yeah, and this is the other way around. This is a valid point. Like, you're going to feel it when Aaron Donald's not there. Right, like you're gonna feel that. Like
they're hoping that Braden Fisk could be half as good as Donald, if not close. But I don't.
There's no way. There's no freaking way. Like, you're asking a rookie to be a Hall of Famer day one. It's not gonna happen.
He's talented. Don't get me wrong. He's raw, but I don't think he's gonna be like Donald right off the bat, bro.
Well, and so is Verse. I think he's gonna be a talented edge rusher, but it's not gonna happen like overnight. These guys are not gonna just like come in and be like world beaters day one. It's just not realistic. Yeah. So anyway, I think that we got a couple more topics here and keep it moving just a little bit. We're getting kind of close to the 1 hour mark here.
Yeah.
Special teams coach Brian Schneider came on today. You and I, a couple weeks ago, I think it was, we did a show on the new kickoff rule. We brought up the video kind of like explaining all the details. This is also on NFL's website. You could go there and kind of, if you haven't really been able to understand the NFL rules, it's on their official website. They have a really neat little video that kind of explains the rules step by step.
Okay. So
Brian Schneider, So Brian Schneider said that Debo and Juice are kind of the front runners because there's two back men. Everybody lines up on the 35, either the 35 or the 40, and on the opposing team or the receiving team's field. And then you got two back guys, and they got to kick it into the zone. So the two back guys that are practicing as the starters right now are Debo and Juice. And the reason Juice is in there is because he's presumed to be like a lead blocker type of guy.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes Juice good, because he does the dirty work. But I don't like how they're having these guys return kicks, bro. Like, why do you want to have Debo as your most important weapon of your offense, bro? If anything else, that might even get him injured even sooner than later, bro. We know he can take a lot of hits, but I would try to keep Debo away from this type of kickoff thing.
Yeah, and I wonder almost too is like, I think they almost drafted Garendo like for this role. Like, it just feels like they drafted Garendo for this role.
I think so too.
But he pulled his hammy or whatever, and he's out for several weeks now. So it's almost like I think that they're just filling it in just to try to get used to it, knowing that, like, in practice anyway, right? Like, Debo's not going to get touched. They're not going to annihilate him. And they're just trying to figure this out right now. And I think all 32 teams are just trying to figure this out because we don't know what it's going to actually look like. And that was one of the things that Schneider said today is like, nobody's going to know until like, week 5 or week 6, how this is going to really truly look. It's going to almost be like an offensive play, the way that it's set up. Cause they're going to, you can't lay the ball down flat on the tee. You have to kick it normal, but people are going to be trying to line drive it into that zone in between the 20 and the goal line. So that's the goal for the kickers, to try to kick it in that zone. And then as soon as the ball hits the ground, the opposing team can move. So you're going to need somebody with hands to try to field it. And so the thought, I think, behind Debo doing it, he has really good hands. He can absorb hits like a running back, but he's kind of like that. He's like that wide back, and he can do it. But I agree with you 100%. I think it's a bad idea when you take one of your best offensive players, especially if Brandon Ayuk is holding out still week 1 or whatever. You don't want Debo back there doing that. I get Juice being back there because or even Braden Willis, somebody who's going to kind of work as like an H-back or that lead guy in front of the returner. So you kind of need that. But there's also going to be the guys up front trying to like block across an entire line, not bunched up, but like create a seam. right? Like for this guy to shoot through. And I think that was also the vision with Guarendos. He has 4.3 speed. So like if somebody can open a gap in the mid, toward midfield, somebody's going to shoot out like a cannon and take it to the house. And the Niners haven't seen any kickoff returns since I think Ted Ginn in 2011 versus the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't seen a kickoff return.
It's just been a while, but I don't think having one of your best weapons as your returner is a good idea. Like, I don't understand why you need to give Debo the dude. Let Debo focus as being a focal point of this offense.
Right. Like, and so like
give Mitchell some return duties at least.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Even Mitchell, like even Jordan Mason has pretty good hands. Get him in there. Like Mason, big old dude. Like Mason and Juice coming at some DBs, like intentionally coming at some DBs. That's a load to bring down. That's a bigger load than Debo.
It is. I mean, but I don't understand why you have to go that route with your best. Well, why go with your best player? Yeah, it's just dumb.
To be fair, he did say that they are trying other players out there as well.
I just don't think I just think you need to get away from your starters. Let the other guys get opportunities is the best way. Like, what if this is a meaningless game at the end of the day? Okay, let's say we did win by a blowout, like we beat a team in a blowout. And let's say we had Debo out there returning the kick, right? Let's say one of those
they would yank him in a blowout. I mean,
you hope so. You better hope so. No, I'm just saying, like, what if this is a pointless game?
Yeah, no, Kyle would yank him in a minute. But I think he might put him back there in an instance where you might need a big play.
Yeah, but the point is, if you're up by that many points, but then you're still like kind of still playing them, bro, that's the problem with Kyle. He doesn't seem to pull them off or do
what if it's a playoffs and you need a big play? Would you do it then?
I would only use Debo, but dude, I don't even want to use Debo for the regular season. Maybe in the playoffs, but even that's more of a huge injury risk because he's getting more hits than he's ever been. So I'm more of a guy that likes to be wise with my best players. Like, I don't want to put him out there as a returner. Like, dude, I drafted him to be my starter. I don't have to use him as my. I
feel like Debo's fast, but he's not Tyreek Hill fast. So I still feel like you need somebody back there that has some speed because once you get past that first level, you need somebody that's going to take it to the house because that play can be a game changer. Yeah,
we know what Debo can do. Sometimes he does take things to the house, but bro, how many of those?
Not from the 35. He's not going to run it 65 yards. Like,
but unless they miss a tackle or two, then yeah, he'll take it to the house. But no.
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't like it a whole lot. I don't even like Juice being in there a whole lot, but that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's pointless. Like, I just think, okay, let's just give Elijah Mitchell more of a look at least.
Yeah, okay. or any other running back, Cody Schrader, for instance, like anybody, like give those guys a chance. Like, obviously, they're not going to put CMC like any of those guys, but yeah, let's hit this last topic and then let's open it up for Q&A. Brock Purdy year 3 expectations. Do you think that he will, even just as an individual, right? Like assuming everybody stays healthy as an individual, do you think Brock Purdy takes a leap in year 3?
I believe so. Even if the team's healthy, I think he's going to have a little more touchdown passes. I think he's going to reach his ceiling to almost 5,000 yards, but he's going to be in between the 4,500, if not the 4,600 yards passing. I think this year he's going to prove the doubters wrong, and maybe he'll definitely be he'll be a candidate for the MVP. I think this year is going to be the time where people kind of give him his credit for once and say, you know what, last year was what it was. But I think it's going to come to a point where they have no choice but to vote him for MVP.
Yeah. Let me ask you this about Brock. Do you think that he will have more rushing? Now that he's kind of got that confidence, like in that Eagles game, he's running, guys are bouncing off him, had that big run in Detroit, had that big run in against Green Bay. Do you think that his rushing will be more of something that defensive kind of have to like account for?
Yeah, they're going to have to account a little bit of it because that's one of his most underrated type of game because they underestimated him as a runner. But if you don't pay attention to Purdy scrambling, bro, he's going to get maybe about 10 to 15 yards Like, dude, that's one thing that people don't realize. Yeah, he may not be fast, but dude, he's mobile enough to move the chains if he has to. So I like that about Purdy. He can move.
Yeah, definitely. Personally, I think he's going to take a pretty significant leap. It's hard to take a leap, right? Like he broke so many records. He was top, 3 to whatever in almost every single efficient stat. Like he was number 1 in QBR. He was number 1 in rating. Like he was number 1 in a lot of things for the regular season. He still got crapped on by the mainstream media and everybody else. And to me, it's nuts. Like Kurt Warner was a great underdog story. Like, why are we not celebrating Brock Purdy as a great underdog story? Do they just need to see more, or are they pissed off that they didn't get it right? Are all the coaches, are all the scouts, is everybody just salty? Like, I don't get it.
Well, you look at the top 10, right? And Purdy's not on the list for some reason. It's just the fact that they hate to be that they're wrong about him. That's the thing. Like, if you're an executive, right, and you didn't even draft a guy, do you want to live with being wrong? Some of that's just how the business goes, bro. They hate to be wrong about something. But I think Brock has proven that they're wrong about it.
Well, even in the Niners have admitted, like, hey, we were wrong for 6 rounds. Like,
yeah,
we didn't even get it right.
Yeah, we've seen it happen with so many teams over the years. I mean, we're with Tom Brady.
Like, or even worse, like Kurt wasn't even drafted. He was
he wasn't drafted because he like, okay, Kurt Warner had very limited experience at Northern Iowa, but yeah, he didn't get a fair chance to compete when he went to Green Bay, and then he had to go to bag groceries, go to Arena Football, and all the other stuff. But yeah, he had to get his opportunity. So you look at a guy like Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady was like the 6th round pick. Nobody thought this guy was going to be good, but it turns out it was the best that ever happened to Brady, because now that he has a blue chip on his shoulder, he was a part-time starter at Michigan. But still, you look at Brock Purdy.
Even after Brady won that first Super Bowl, they still crapped on him because they got it wrong.
They still crapped on him until a couple more years, until the 6th.
They were forced to say, okay, now he's the GOAT. I still don't believe that he's the GOAT. I got Montana as my GOAT.
Yeah, but that's how they look at it, bro. Like, I think he has to prove himself for a few more years, and I think that will silence the doubt on him. But see, Brock Purdy, there's a difference. He played at Iowa State. Nobody really takes seriously with Iowa State, and he's a full-time. He was a 4-year starter down there. He has the most winningest stats in school history. So he was the best quarterback to ever come out of Iowa State.
Yeah, and even his former teammate Breece Hall was like, I knew he was going to be good, but like I didn't know he was going to be this good. Like,
yeah,
and even like he plays for, who does he play for now? The Jets still.
Yeah,
like, he was just like, giving him his due credit. He's like, I knew this guy was good from day one. Like, as a freshman at Iowa State, I knew he was good, and the Niners said that too. I knew he was good, and then he got so good to where Kyle Shanahan went to Jed York and said, this is our guy. I hate to say it because we just drafted Trey Lance and gave up all that draft capital, but this is our guy.
That's the weird part. That's the weird part when Kyle had, like, when sometimes you have to take into consideration, but sometimes even invest in somebody isn't always going to work out. But damn, bro, like, it ends up being the other way around. So all this time we could have got Jamar Chase, or we could have just stayed where we're at, but nope, we took gambles, and sometimes you're going to take your L's when it comes to the gamble at that time. So, and then it's dividends with Trey,
right? Like, we could have Micah and Bosa.
Yeah, we could have, but it just didn't work out for us because we wanted to get a quarterback, and plus Jimmy Garoppolo was pretty much at the final years with us at that point. But even then, he still returned another season, but when you saw how Garoppolo was, bro, we needed him to be our bridge quarterback. So we got Trey Lance to develop, and it didn't work out as we thought. So we took our L and moved on with it and got Brock Purdy for whatever it is. Yeah, sure. We got, we got to give CJ Beathard some credit because when he left free agency, we got that pick.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, man. Yeah. So I don't have anything more. We can open this up for Q&A. I'm going to go back through. Let me know if you see anything that we should highlight that was said earlier. Sorry that I didn't star these. I need to get better at this. I need to start starring stuff so that I can come back to it later if we want to talk about it.
I don't see really too much of the questions here because they've been left out. Okay, let's see. Let's see what they say. If they don't say nothing within a minute or two, we can end this.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything's going pretty well. Oh, here we go. We got Mustafa for Trey Lance, got those 3 firsts back. Not sure what he means by that.
No, because remember we traded those multiple first round picks for Trey, and we gave up for that 4th round. So
Yeah.
If Mustafa turns out to be a baller or a pro baller, bro, you can forget about the Trey Lance trade. Everybody will just forget about that move, because if this guy turns out to be good at safety, we got to steal, and we kind of dodged the bullet.
I'm surprised that I still see so much like Jimmy G, like Trey Lance stuff going on, like on Twitter. I'm just like, these guys are like 2 seasons, 3 seasons removed from being Niners.
Yeah, they're gone.
Talking about, like, why are we still talking about Dallas's 3rd string quarterback? Why are we talking about the Rams' backup quarterback? Why? Like,
why would we even bring it up? Like, here's the problem, bro. There's quite a few other guys that have been doing this. Like, I don't know, this guy named Cass, he keeps bringing up Jimmy G, bro. That dude's like such a Jimmy G lover. Like, he brings up somebody that's not even on our roster. So I don't know what to say, bro. Like, if you're not moving on with Jimmy Garoppolo, then maybe there's something wrong with you as a fan. He's a pass, like that ex-girlfriend, you got to move on.
Right. Like, I don't understand like why we're so fixated on players that aren't with it. Why just fixate on the guys that are here? Like, everything else is water under the bridge.
Yeah, like
if you're doing like analysis, like go back and reference stuff, but to like keep talking about this guy. I saw it on Twitter this morning. Like, people are still saying stuff about Trey Lance. It's probably popped up in your algorithm that first day of camp where he missed like 3 passes and it became a big thing. It's like, I don't care. Like, why?
Yeah, you're right about it. We shouldn't care about it because he's not on our roster. But there is that fine line where I will admit I was wrong about it. So that will probably be something I'll post later on my channel. But I'll get to that later on. That's another topic to go into. Yeah. But yeah, you're right about it.
To be honest, like, I will root for Trey Lance as long as he's not in a Dallas Cowboys uniform or a Seahawks uniform, or like on his next team, I'm gonna pull for this guy, even if he's a quarterback too. I think Trey Lance was a great guy. He just seemed like a really nice guy.
He just didn't seem ready. He just didn't look ready, so that's the problem. He looked a little nervous.
Like, as a person, like, I don't wish bad on him. Like,
I wish him the best too.
Go for it, but like, he's just not good, and we're allowed to say that. Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah, and
and that doesn't mean it's going to define his career forever. Maybe he will emerge as like a utility quarterback for somebody, or like a pinch quarterback for somebody, but he's just not an NFL starter.
Yeah, I think we pretty much got everything we needed, because I don't see no questions around here no more. So unless I'm missing some comments, I don't really look into the Grandizer, I don't really pay attention to my haters, bro. There's just a lot of people that come in with different intentions. So, it's all, if you're doing something right, you're doing something right. So I got a target on my back, it's cool. I can live with that. I know there's people who ain't going to like me, so that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I know there's probably people out there that don't like me either. So it is what it is. We do our best to try to provide you guys with content and everything like that. And with that, take us out, CG. Give us your Ric Flair, and we will be out of here. Holy crap. That was a Kittle chug.
Whoa! Let's go Niners.